In my previous video, I talked about Jorge Luis Borges' short story, The Immortal, and what it has to say about human motivation. How the fear of not completing things in the limited time we have can be a pretty powerful motivator to embark on projects we might put off without a deadline. Today, I'm looking at Borges' work The Lottery in Babylon, a completely different story that nonetheless touches upon human motivation, albeit in a totally different way. Let's start with a summary. At the beginning of human civilization, humans lived in a perfect ordered society. You never had to worry about any of the hiccups that modern humans go through every day, like surprise car troubles, or trouble at work because a project isn't going as planned. No, in Babylon, before the lottery, life ran pretty smoothly. Then, someone had the brilliant idea to start a lottery company. At first, it ran like the lotteries we know today. You bought a ticket, and you either won or didn't win a cash prize, and people loved it. The lottery injected a great deal of excitement into people's lives, which up until now had been perfectly predictable and dull. After its initial success, the lottery company sought to innovate, and instead of having only winning tickets, they created losing tickets as well. Anyone who purchased a losing ticket would have to pay a fine, and this greatly increased the lottery's popularity. Anyone who didn't play the lottery out of fear they might get a losing ticket was called a coward, and thus it became, for each drawing, that not a soul in Babylon would be caught dead not participating. Because the game was so popular, the lottery stopped selling tickets, as it was assumed everyone was going to buy one anyway. This led to people who could not afford the penalties of a losing ticket inevitably being issued one, and so a new penalty was created. Instead of paying a fine, the loser would have to spend time in jail. This was an important step in the lottery's evolution, as it gave the company the idea that prizes did not have to be monetary. They could be anything, and since no one had to buy a ticket, the prizes could be delivered without warning, and even delayed or canceled by a second drawing. What I mean is, if you were issued a losing ticket, and that losing ticket meant you would suffer a toothache, you might be issued a ticket in the next drawing that meant you were entitled to an unexpected recovery. Over time, people forgot there was a lottery company at all, and so the company exists to this day, dealing out prizes and penalties based on chance drawings, and totally in secret. Have you ever had a bit of unexpected misfortune and wondered, why is this happening to you? Something like surprise car trouble, or trouble at work because a project isn't going as planned. This is all the work of an ancient lottery company that has existed since the dawn of civilization, and in fact, it's rather important that it does. Human beings are highly motivated by challenge. We like to do things that have a chance of not succeeding. How boring would it be if any business venture you embarked upon was already guaranteed to succeed? Have you ever played a video game with the cheat codes on? It gets pretty old pretty quickly. The Lottery in Babylon perfectly illustrates how no one likes misfortune, yet our lives would be meaningless without it. Remember that next time your car breaks down. The challenge of how you are going to get the repairs done is what gives your life purpose. While this story has that powerful message about the necessity of calamity, there is also one other point I want to explain that is really the reason why this is one of my favorite short stories. The Lottery in Babylon is a piece of modern mythology, and what I mean by that is, in ancient Greece, you might be struck by lightning, and you might say to yourself, that was a very unlucky thing to have happen. I wonder why it did. And because they didn't know what exactly causes lightning, they made things up, like Zeus is shooting magic lightning bolts from the sky to punish you because you have obviously upset him in some way. Nowadays, we have science to explain why lightning does what it does, and that's good because it means we can avoid being struck by lightning, but it does remove a bit of magic from the world. There are a lot of things that science has explained, and the world has become a very non-magical place compared to when the ancient Greeks were around, and in some ways, I might be a little nostalgic for it. The important thing about the Lottery in Babylon is that it breathes a little bit of magic back into my life. Certainly, I don't wonder why my car broke down. No, there's a perfectly good explanation for that. But why did it happen to me? I'm a pretty decent person, aren't I? At least I try to be. I guess it's just the lottery company trying to bring chance and purpose and just a little bit of magic back to me.